Hello, awesome fifth graders. Over the next month, we will be learning about opinion writing. We're going to start really slow because of the digital learning and make sure that everybody is up to speed. So for today, here are our learning targets. I can form an opinion about a topic. And last week we talked about the difference between fact and opinion. The next is I can support my opinions using relevant reasons and or evidence. Remember, when we have an opinion, we need a reason why. And then to take it a step further in fifth grade, you need to supply evidence. And last is I can group reasons and information together in a logical way. Let's get started. I wanted to start today's lesson by looking at an example of a student's letter to Mr. Schinderly last week. Now, this student went above and beyond the 1 to 2 paragraph requirement that was given. However, I really like how this student starts with their opinion at the very beginning. You know right away what they are talking about. And then I know in each of her body paragraphs, 1, 2, 3 body paragraphs, those are all going to support her opinion that Lake Grove Elementary should be attending more minutes of physical education. And I also know at the very end, she's going to wrap up her essay or her letter to Mr. Schinderly in a conclusion. Let's take a little deeper look into her essay and what each part contains. One of the things I really like about this person's essay is that it is very well organized, which is the main key that we are talking about today. If I look at her introduction paragraph, and I look right here that illnesses caused by obesity, like some diabetic cases and others, can lead to death. I know right here, this paragraph is all about that. Next, if I look at PE teaches kids the need for staying healthy and eating healthy foods. Right down here is exactly the paragraph that goes with that. And last, if I look at the increase of PE will help us all be aware of our physical and in some mental health to create proper growth needed for all students. Down here is right where this student talks about that. So as you can see, at the very beginning, this student states their opinion. And then it goes into what details, what reasons do they have to support their evidence? Because last week, remember, we talked about you need your opinion, your reason, and then the last is what? You need evidence. So the opinion is there. They have the reasons. Now let's look to see if this student has evidence to support their reason. Let's take a look down here at paragraph 4. So right here is where I'm looking. I'm going to read that paragraph to you out loud. Lastly, physical movement or exercise is a key part in proper brain and body developmental health. Exercising clears our brain while also strengthening our bodies. It assists our brain neurons, which are the things that send messages to your brain. Physical education is key, states physical education is needed for proper growth and development. So what I notice about this paragraph is that they start with a topic sentence. They clearly state the reason why Lake Grove Elementary students should be attending more minutes of physical education. It goes on to explain it a little bit more. Then if you notice right here, the last sentence, it is the evidence, which is exactly what you need to do. You need to find evidence, not just your background knowledge. I can also notice if I were to look in the other paragraphs, right here, the importance of physical education for kids states. And again here, in the article, little spelling error, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. So what I really like here is that number one, they were able to give their opinion. Number two, they gave 3 strong reasons. And then number 3, they were able to support their reasons with evidence. The last part is the conclusion. In the conclusion of this letter to Mr. Schinderly, the student goes on to restate their reasons and then sums it up by giving their opinion one last time. This is an excellent example, and we are going to build on this as we continue. As we move forward in our opinion writing, this is one example of what a graphic organizer might look like. Let's take a look. First, we have the introduction, where you will have some sort of hook and state your opinion. One thing that is not in this introduction graphic organizer that might go right here, right at the end of your introduction. Does anybody have a guess? I'm going to call on somebody. You. You're right. You're going to need a thesis statement. So a reminder about a thesis statement, which we will actually go over tomorrow, but a reminder of a thesis statement for those of you that forgot. There are 3 parts to your thesis statement. You need your topic, you need your claim, and then you need 3 supporting details. So what was the topic about this person's letter? It was about PE minutes. And their claim was that they needed more minutes. Then the 3 supporting points were to keep their brain and bodies away from obesity and other illnesses. The second was about eating habits and exercise habits. And the last was about proper brain and body development health. So tomorrow, like I said, we will be going over thesis statements. Then if you look at this graphic organizer, there are 3 body paragraphs. So this is where you would take apart your thesis statement and put the 3 reasons right within the topic sentence of each of your paragraph. You would have your main idea here, your main idea here, and the main idea here. And each person's body paragraph will look a little bit different. There's no exact, you have to put each sentence. First sentence would be main idea and evidence and elaboration and an example. Just like we've read on task cards, sometimes the main idea is the first sentence and sometimes it's not. So you can mix that up, but you have to have all pieces in there. So you have to have your evidence, and you have to provide an example and elaborate on that. Then the last part that you'll need is your conclusion. So you'll give a summary of your reasons, and then again, one thing that it's missing is restating your thesis statement, and then end with a bang. Just like you started with a hook, how could you end your sentence or your conclusion paragraph? Let's take a look at just one other graphic organizer that you wouldn't necessarily fill in, but it's more of a flow chart. So you have the introduction where you have your hook, or it's maybe called a lead, and then you're also going to put your thesis statement in, and that's where your opinion would be. Then you have 3 body paragraphs, and each paragraph includes your reason that's in your thesis statement to make sure your claim is valid, and then you support it with evidence and facts, examples, and data. So those go in paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. And in the last paragraph, you would restate your thesis statement and summarize the main idea of your argument or your opinion, and it contains a strong concluding statement. Here's the template that you will find in Seesaw for you to do today's activity. I know it says to cut and paste at the top, so if you have a printer at home, feel free to do that. If you don't, you may go ahead and do the template right within Seesaw. You will do this by looking at the order at the top. Again, you need to have your opinion statement, then reason 1 and the evidence for reason 1. Then reason 2, and then the evidence to support reason 2, then finally reason 3, and then the evidence to support reason 3. There are 7 strips of paper. What I want you to do is to click on the text box and number the order in which they go in. If you have a printer and want to cut it out and do it that way, go ahead and take a picture and submit that as your assignment. Good luck, and let us know if you have any questions.